Good evening, I'm Katerina Georgieva. This is CBC Windsor News. Thanks for watching. Tonight we'll tell you about 2 local fires in 24 hours plus. A Detroit teenager is at the heart of another tragic story involving a dangerous and lethal substance. A new bill in Ontario means more health care can now be offered privately. And many of you are picking up your paddles to take part in a game of pickleball, with the sport exploding in popularity across the region. Let's start with an overnight fire on Hall Avenue. Police are investigating it as an arson. It happened at Hall and Assumption Street just after 1 a.m. this morning. No reports of injuries, but we know at least one person can't safely stay inside the home. Fire officials say there were $200,000 worth of damages. Police saying it was deliberate. And this is the second fire at the home in the last couple months. The last one was in March.
I felt so scared, and now it's the second time when the house is on fire again. So we feel terrified here.
Does this have you considering moving?
Yes, we are planning to move by the end of this year.
There was about 4 or 5 firemen inside the house putting out the fire, and I could see the smoke coming out of the rooftop. It makes you think about your place, you know.
And this wasn't the only weekend fire in the city. There was another on Windsor Avenue around 11 a.m. yesterday. No injuries were reported, but 4 people who live next door say they're staying at a hotel. Damage from the blaze estimated at $100,000. Police are investigating. No word on suspected causes at this time. A warning now that this next story deals with suicide. Last week, a Mississauga man was charged with counseling or aiding suicide following the deaths of 2 GTA people. Tonight, a mother from Detroit is saying her son died after ingesting sodium nitrite he purchased from a website owned by Kenneth Law. TJ Deere reports.
This is Anthony Jones. His mom, Tanya, says a year ago he ingested something he ordered online and kept screaming that he wanted to live. She says after arriving at a hospital, doctors had to call poison control to help with treatment.
But it was too late. Within 3.5 hours, my son was dead.
She says the substance Anthony ingested was sodium nitrite. It's a salt compound which is commonly used to cure meats, but can be lethal when ingested in high quantities, according to experts. Tanya's lawyer says Anthony purchased the substance from a website. The website is owned by Ontario resident Kenneth Law. The lawyer says it's just one of the websites affiliated with Law.
We found, 3 websites that were all affiliated under this IceMac title and all selling suicide products.
The Jones family says it's one of many around the world who were affected after loved ones died after ingesting the substance. Other families who've lost loved ones to the substance are demanding the shutdown of a notorious suicide forum where anonymous users talk about methods of suicide. In late April, Peel Regional Police said they were investigating after the Times of London reported that Law had been selling the substance overseas to people who had been looking to end their lives. At the time, Law said the allegations were false.
I don't know what's the scope of what I can say, and I hope you can understand why. This has been a very distressing experience.
Since then, Law has been charged by Peel Police with 2 counts of counseling or aiding suicide. Jones wants people to look out for dangerous chemicals which could cause the same outcome.
It's devastating, and I wouldn't want this to happen to another family, What me and my family has been through this past 1.5 years is just too much.
Law has a bail hearing scheduled for tomorrow morning. TJ Deere, CBC News, Windsor.
The provincial health care bill to add more surgeries in private clinics officially passed today. All 3 opposition parties voted against it. Lorenda Redekop has more from Queen's Park.
The ayes being 68 and the nays being 34, I declare the motion carried.
As Bill 60 easily passed, public health care advocates in the visitors gallery reacted. The bill allows more privatization in healthcare by moving more simple procedures out of hospitals and into private clinics. That includes cataract surgeries and diagnostic testing, then later hip and knee operations. The government argues it will shorten long wait lists.
We need more opportunities, convenient care closer to home, that you could actually walk in the clinic down the street and actually get an MRI rather than waiting God knows how long, months and months. We're going to shorten the list. We're going to give people the care they need in a rapid fashion.
The parliamentary assistant to the health minister called the government's plan bold action.
Bold action, Speaker, bold action to sell off our public health care system. Bold action to put sick people at the back of the line.
The Ontario Medical Association says it supports shifting some procedures out of hospital, but wanted clinics operating as nonprofits. Some hospitals have warned about losing staff.
I think this is going to take us in a terrible direction. We've seen in BC, in Quebec, that this doesn't work, that it costs us more, that it means Ontarians will be waiting longer for care.
Before the vote, opposition party members made last-ditch efforts to influence the government.
So to every government member, who will have the courage? Who will have the courage to listen to the people of Ontario and vote against Bill 60?
He says he suggested 45 amendments to the bill, all denied, while the NDP says it put forward 74 possible changes.
They said no to protections against upselling, upcharging, profiteering, and siphoning of healthcare workers out of the public hospitals.
Neither the health minister nor anyone else from the government side was made available for media questions after the vote. With the bill passed, there's not a lot the opposition parties can do. All three say they'd make changes if they're elected to government in 3 years. Lorenda Redicop, CBC News, Toronto.
Today, Ottawa announced hundreds of millions of dollars in new funding to help provinces and territories fight gang violence and gun crime. The Liberals also introduced a motion to fast-track their amended gun legislation bill through the House of Commons. Kate McKenna reports.
We can stop crime before it starts.
Canada's public safety minister says this money is part of a plan to get guns off of the street.
These federal funds will be distributed to the provinces and territories for the purpose of giving law enforcement the additional people, resources, and supports that they need to get the job done and to get the job done safely.
It's $390 million over 5 years. The feds say they're targeting the rise in gun crime and gang violence. The minister says it builds on the 2017 Take Action Against Gun and Gang Violence strategy.
We're building on the success of this program by nearly doubling its funding nationally. This funding is a game changer in our communities.
The inability to resource gun and gang enforcement is a problem right across this province and country. So the dollars actually allow us to specifically resource programming to monitor, interdict, intercept gun and gang enforcement.
But in Ottawa, the larger debate over gun control rages on.
First and foremost, I think this is the public safety minister's effort to distract from the very undemocratic move we've seen him make in the House today to try to limit important debate.
The Liberals are trying to limit debate on its controversial gun control bill. Conservatives call it an attack on democracy and gun owners.
Today's motion that we'll be talking about is really a huge blow to the democratic debate that we've been having.
C21 seeks to freeze the sale of handguns and keep assault-style firearms off of the street. In its latest effort to pass it, the government introduced new amendments last week after a former version of the bill sparked outcry from hunters and Indigenous groups.
We are absolutely focused on going after criminals who use illegal guns to terrorize our communities.
That bill limiting debate is expected to pass with the help of the NDP. The party says it supports passing the bill quickly because it says it's in the public interest. Kate McKenna, CBC News, Ottawa.
Canada announced today that it was expelling a Chinese diplomat. The sanction is against Zhao Wei, who reportedly played a role in attempts to gather information on the family of an Ontario Conservative MP. In a statement shared on Twitter, Foreign Affairs Minister Mélanie Joly said, "We will not tolerate any form of foreign interference in our internal affairs. Diplomats in Canada have been warned that if they engage in this type of behavior, they will be sent home." MP Michael Chong's family in Hong Kong was reportedly being targeted for reprisals after he voted to support a 2021 motion in the Commons. It said treatment of the Uyghur Muslim community in northwest China amounted to genocide. China has lodged a formal protest over the expulsion of its diplomat. It says it never interferes in the internal affairs of other governments and says the allegations are groundless. Chong, who is the Conservatives' foreign affairs critic, spoke soon after the expulsion was made public.
It shouldn't have taken 2 years for the government to make this decision when they became aware that members and their families of the House of Commons were being targeted by the PRC and by persons in Canada accredited by the Government of Canada as diplomats in Canada. Security experts have been telling us for years that there isn't one single tool to combat foreign interference threat activities here on Canadian soil. Expelling diplomats who are engaged in those activities is but one tool. There are other tools that need to be put in place.
Turning now to a very different kind of story, pickleball. It is hailed as the fastest growing sport in North America, and it's equally a hit here in Windsor, Essex. And it's not just seniors picking up the paddle. Brad Godin recently got caught up in the pickleball craze, and when he's not working, he tries to get out on the court. He spoke with CBC's Sonia Varma.
I work at Chrysler's. A bunch of us just started playing last spring, and it's fantastic. It's fun. We have a lot of fun. It's, good exercise, and we can't wait to come out every time. So,
what do you say to people who say, "Oh, this is a sport for retirees"?
Hey, my daughter says that to me all the time. That's a sport for old people, and I tell her, play it once, and you're going to get hooked.
Tyler Sasso says his dad got him and his wife Lisette hooked on the game. The two work as cruise ships entertainers, but when they're on dry land, they head to the courts.
Yeah, it's for everybody. It's a combination of, what would you say, badminton, table tennis. We use it for exercise. It's a good way for us to get out.
I've experienced playing badminton when I was a kid, and this is the closest I found to it. That's really easy to pick up.
In Tecumseh, the Pickleball Association has seen its membership jump from 300 last year to about 650 this spring. And Windsor is adding 4 new courts to keep up with demand.
If you build it, they will come, and we desperately need more courts out there.
Melinda Hebert would like to see more indoor courts built so people can play pickleball year-round. She and Daphne Reed are local organizers. They say more young people want in on the game. They want to see it picked up in school and see pickleball on the world stage.
Hopefully the town of Tecumseh has agreed to put a junior program together, and they're going to use the ice rink as doing the lessons. And because again, the courts are so busy.
And from a provincial area, what we're working on is trying to make pickleball an offset sport, and I think that would be where this sport needs to be, because like Melinda said, the kids love it, and it's a great way. It's not that expensive a sport. The schools can put it in, and you can do tournaments among schools, and it'll be a really fun sport to put in as an offset sport.
Okay, pickleball in the Olympics, do you see it?
Yep, it'll be there. Sure. It's going to be in the Pan Am Games coming up. Yeah.
I am going to confess I have never played pickleball, but I think that's my sign to give it a try. So stay with us. After the break, we're going to take a look at the forecast. A chance of showers tonight, but it should clear up tomorrow. Colette Kennedy will have more for us coming right up. Stay with us. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith has asked for federal help to deal with more than 100 wildfires burning in the province. Smith spoke with the Prime Minister today, who said Ottawa will be there. Dozens of fires are burning out of control, and nearly 30,000 people have been forced to leave their homes. CBC's Aaron Collins has this report.
This is Highway 22 in Parkland County, a little over an hour west of Edmonton. It's one of the front lines in Alberta's ongoing wildfire fight. The fire swept through this area over the weekend, forcing people in the area between the communities of Drayton Valley to the south and Evansburg to the north from their homes. The ground is still smoldering here. Days after fires moved through this area, crews working to put hotspots out. Burnt power and phone poles here mean many services are still out in the area. Some residents still unable to return home, others already dealing with loss.
Just about, I'd say, the entire quarter of trees and land is burnt. One of the houses is completely leveled. The exterior of the other house is damaged substantially. A lot of vehicle loss, a lot of livestock loss, immeasurable precious items.
More than 100 wildfires are burning out of control across the province. That is the bad news. The good news, it's raining today in this part of Alberta. But officials warn that it likely won't be enough to put these wildfires out for good.
We have some light showers for the next 2 days, and that will start drying out over Wednesday and Thursday, and we'll see hot temperatures again, and our fire risk goes right back up again. So this is a bit of a reprieve, but it's certainly not the amount of moisture we need. We need several days of rain, so the precip is not going to put this fire out.
Cooler, damp weather is expected to continue in this area for the next couple of days. Crews here hope to use that time to get the existing fires under control. But they're going to have to work quickly. Warm, dry weather is forecast for the weekend. Perfect conditions to fan the flames of existing fires and potentially spark new ones. Aaron Collins, CBC News, Parkland County, Alberta.
Colette Kennedy joins us now for more on this. Colette, and we know that Alberta had been dealing with really high temperatures. Sounds like cooler temperatures are going to move in. Tell us more about how the weather is going to play a role in all this.
Yeah, Katarina, you know, there are different factors we look at here. We heard some of this in the report. Obviously, temperatures are a factor. They have come down, but they will be ramping up in a few more days. We're going to see those highs instead of low 20s going into the low 30s again. So that will be coming back. Of course, we look for rainfall. I could show you the radar imagery here. You're seeing some moisture in there, but again, a soaking rain is what is needed over multiple days. And then you have other things to contend with, like winds. The winds had been strong up to yesterday, and that helps push these along, fan the flames, and expand the fires. So the winds came down today. They're not nearly as gusty. We have a couple of days with some lighter winds, but another weather feature to think about, some of these are thunderstorms. So lightning strikes can spark, of course, new fires when you have very, very dry conditions. So many things going on there. The air quality, among other things, pretty nasty with the smoke that they're experiencing. So all of these areas here, and it spills into BC and into Saskatchewan with the air quality statement that's in place from Environment Canada. A little closer to home, we're able to experience some nicer conditions, temperatures kind of back towards seasonal. They'll actually be creeping up as well. High pressure has been building in, and that's really going to be providing kind of a treat in terms of the weather for any kind of outdoor activity, anything you want to be doing to get out there. It will be pleasurable. 18 degrees the current temperature, 17 in Chatham-Kenton. Yes, you're seeing around the lake, especially Lake Huron, there are some cooler readings with that northerly breeze that's coming in. Although it is fairly light, it certainly have an impact, at least where the reporting station is taking the temperature. Inland, not so bad. A feature I do want to point out is that tonight, even though I'm talking about this ridge of high pressure, there is a system to the south, and as it's going to be passing eastwards, stays to the south of us mostly, but a glancing blow of some isolated or scattered showers into the overnight hours, even this evening, into the overnight. And then into tomorrow, this is going to be moving away quickly, and the clouds receding And so we get into clearing and the sun coming back out into the afternoon, and morning is probably just sort of variable in terms of the amount of cloud cover that we'll be experiencing. Then once that ridge is here, boy, a lot of sunshine to go around, and we'll see the temperatures kind of building each day after that. Tonight, we'll see that temperature 11 degrees through the overnight hours as that system passes through. Then tomorrow morning, we dip and hit our low, 9 degrees, still a bit of cloud cover, and don't worry too much about it, like I said, because it's going to be going away for a little while. Wednesday, 22, Thursday, 24 at least. We may see these even pumped up a little bit warmer than this. I've put showers in on Saturday. Not a lot of agreement yet with the models. It's still several days out. Mother's Day, I know Sunday, as to what day we might see some wet weather coming back through, but we've got a stretch of dry days after tonight.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Thanks for that, Colette.
You're welcome.
When we come back, a big change coming to the $20 bill. That story coming right up. The face on the $20 bill is about to change. Bank notes will soon have King Charles's picture on it. Dale Molnar checks out what that means for the 20s depicting the Queen.
That's a U.S. silver dollar in the second row, second one in. It's painted. Jerry Ferrari of G&G Jewelry points out coins for sale in his shop. He says it will take some time before the $20 bills with the Queen on them appreciate in value. He says you need to hoard the last ones they print. But how much will they appreciate?
Usually they can double or triple. It just depends on the demand and also on the signatures on the bills.
But he says the smart money is on the special edition collector sets, especially the first ones featuring King Charles. And he says if you have a 1954 bill, check the back of the Queen's head for the devil's face. It's rare and can be worth hundreds of dollars.
If you look in the hairlines, you can see the eyes and the nose and the mouth, which is the air in the bill.
But support for Chuck on the Bucks in Canada is low, according to a recent Angus Reid poll. Only 38% of Canadians like the idea of King Charles on the money. Reaction at the river is mixed.
I think all of this needs to stop now, and the government that runs us should be on our bills.
I just think it's been a tradition. We've always had it, and I think it's important to keep tradition.
I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. I think it's more popular, more better known. Why not?
Well, I think there's a lot of Canadians that have earned their spots that should actually be on it instead of Charles.
The Bank of England already has a design ready for its banknotes. They should be out next year. Canada is under no obligation to put the sovereign on the money. Australia is taking a different approach for its $5 note. They will honor their Indigenous heritage. We found some support for that as well.
Absolutely. I would love to see someone that's Indigenous for sure.
Absolutely. I would say so.
The CEO for the Royal Canadian Mint says it will likely take until fall before they have a design approved for the new $20 bill. And then it will take a few years before we see any in circulation. A spokesperson for the Mint says they hope to get coins bearing the King's likeness out as soon as possible. Dale Molnar, CBC News, Windsor.
Summer travel season is right around the corner. Kyle Bax now with a look at lessons learned from last year.
Few empty seats are expected this summer as demand for air travel continues to soar. Peak travel season begins in just a few weeks as the aviation sector tries to avoid the major turbulence of last summer when staff shortages meant lengthy delays, flight disruptions, and airport chaos.
Last year was, by anyone's sort of description, a meltdown, and so I think we're in a much better place collectively across the system of aviation.
Airlines, airports, and government agencies have increased staffing levels, but the number of flights and passengers will be much higher too.
I think there's going to be hiccups here and there. There's only so many agency staff that are available from the federal government. The buildings are built the way they are, and really it's going to be a question of managing flight flow.
For those choosing to fly this summer, experts say you'll likely have to dig a little deeper into your wallet.
It's high. Overall, it's high. We've had, 3 years really of inflation. That hasn't gone away.
There is potential for more labor strife, including at WestJet, as pilots could strike before the May long weekend as they seek a new contract with the airline. Kyle Bax, CBC News, Calgary.
And that is it for CBC Windsor News. For news anytime, you can always go to our website. That's cbc.ca/Windsor. And you can also find us on social media. We're on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.